Alright, what's up everybody? This is Topazzled and I'm back here again with Tempo Element, and what I have with me today is of course the Volca Sample. But the reason for me having this today is because I have a new Patreon account. I've really put more dedication into this channel really within the past year. And I don't have thousands of subscribers, but I have several hundred subscribers, and I'm pretty proud of that. And I'm going to be having a little bit of more time on my hands where I can contribute more to this channel and the things that I do with this channel. So since I'm going to have more time, I thought it would make it a little bit more interesting and a little bit easier to do things with this channel if I have a Patreon account. And one of the main reasons I really wanted to put together a Patreon account wasn't really to to accept donations and things like that. But lately, in the past, actually maybe about a month, maybe 2 months, I've been of course playing with my Volca Sample, but I've been really getting into my boutique synthesizers, which are of course they're very close to real analog synthesizers, and I've been experimenting with them, and the other pieces of gear that I have too, especially with the Digitakt. The Digitakt comes in handy with manipulating samples, and I've been having some fun manipulating samples, getting samples to sound the way I like, and so with that process, I've been having a good time doing that, and then I'm really happy with the end results of some of my samples. And so what I thought would be pretty cool, pretty fun, and I thought would be pretty cool for you guys as my subscribers and hopefully new subscribers is to if you go ahead and you turn into a Patreon, where you help me out with my Patreon page, then I will give you some of these samples. Now, my first sample pack, I actually have 2 sample packs that are ready to go. Now, I'm going to be talking about my first sample pack right now in this video, but the first sample pack that I have is really built around using with the Volca Sample. I really wanted to try to get as much samples into it because the sample storage space in this machine is actually, I think you have 4 minutes of sample time. It's either 4 or 2 minutes. I kind of forgot. But, oh no, it's 4 megabytes of space that you have with the Volca Sample. But you could hold up to 100 samples in the machine itself within the 4 megabytes of space. So my first sample pack actually has 40 samples, but like I mentioned, it's built around using with the samples are built around using with the Volca Samples. So you can actually tweak these samples to turn them into different sounds that are usable. That are usable. A lot of the sounds that I have in here, which I'm going to go over just a few, and then go over a few patterns that I made with the Volca Sample using those samples of the sample pack. I wanted to get as much as I could within the sample pack so it could be usable. Now, there's not too many drums and percussions, but there are drums and percussions, but I picked them specifically, like in this case, the drums, like let's say like the kick and snares, especially hi-hats. I don't really have a lot of hi-hats. I think I have like 3 hi-hats in there, but there is a noise sample, so you can do a lot with the noise sample as far as getting different types of hi-hats, even cymbal sounds. So that was pretty much easy to take care of, but I tweaked it around. I added some dynamics. I actually used with the sample pack. I used all the a lot of dynamic capabilities from the Electron Digitakt, which has a really nice compressor with the last update that it has, and the filter sounds nice on that thing. And so the Digitakt really came in handy. It was actually really my source sampler as far as building the samples. So yeah, that's for the hi-hats. I have a couple kicks in there, And there's a sharp kick, there's a really low and decayy kick, but that you're able to tweak and get a nice sounding kick to whatever type of music that you're gonna use the samples for. So those kicks come in handy, and the drums come in handy. So I have a few drums in there, like I was mentioning. It's not fully packed with drums, but it's actually the majority of the sample pack is has different sounds. Like we have synth stab sounds, we have some organ sounds, some piano sounds. What else do we have? We have the organ, synth, piano, and I have a few percussion, long percussion samples, which is really filled with a lot of percussion sounds that you can actually get some hi-hats out of, and other things like rim shots and things in that nature, really percussion-y sounds. So I'm going to go over a few of the sounds right now, and then I'm going to go into a few patterns that I built using those samples. But if you become a Patreon, if you go sign up to my Patreon page, and you can go check it out. I'll leave the links and all that. You can check that out. Go check out the Patreon page. Become a Patreon. I'm not asking too much. It's just a couple dollars at the most each month. And if you become a Patreon, then you're gonna get this sample pack, which is filled with 40 samples, and they are even though they are built around using with the Volca sample. They are WAV files, so you can use the files with most DAWs and pretty much any sampler that is capable of playing WAV samples. So that's a plus too. So you're not just the sample pack isn't just usable with the Volca sample. I think it's really jam-packed. I'm really pleased with the sample pack. And then later on, I'm gonna have another sample pack where I'm actually building my own little like drum kit out of with analog synths. So it's going to really be a really analog-y sounding drum kit, and that's also going to be going out to my Patreon account subscribers too. So like I mentioned, I have two sample packs that are ready to go. But first off, what I'm going to talk about here is, of course, the first sample pack, which is basically it's like a Volca sample pack. So let's get into it. Since I have you right here, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and then maybe later on you'll come to find out that you want to be a Patreon subscriber. And if you do, I hope, and that's great, because you'll be able to pick up this sample pack, and then all my other sample packs in the future. And then of course you're going to be able to check out more behind the scenes things as far as like building patterns and things that you could do with those sample packs and so forth. So let's get into this first one right here. Let's see what sound we have. I have a few samples already loaded up, and I'm just going to go over them and to show you how you could go ahead and tweak those out and how good they'll sound on the Volca sample. So let's get into it. What we have here is okay, I believe that sample right there was pulled from my tail harmonic, my Make Noise tail harmonic from my Euro rack. And yeah, there's a lot of harmonics in there, and there's a lot of things that you can actually do with this sample just by itself. So I shortened the sample because the sample is actually longer. Let me play it. So I'm shortening it. So I shortened it right now. Now I'm going to mess with the speed so you can see as far as the type of melodies you'll be able to, excuse me, as far as the melodies you'll be able to lay down in the Volca sample using the motion sequence and such. So you can see that gets pretty low. Pretty low, pretty cool. So you can see what you can already do with that sample right there. Let's throw some reverb on that. Okay, so that sounds pretty cool. Let's move on to the next sample we have loaded up here. Now this is actually, I think this is actually a pretty great sample. This is a TB03 sample here, and we have square and we have saw. I'm just messing with the, I believe this is a square. I think this is square. Here's saw. Really squelchy. That you can mess with right there. Throw some reverb on that. Hold on. Now there's a lot of things you could do, even though there's not too many, it doesn't look like there's too many parameters you could play with on the Volca Sample, but with the envelope generator right here with the attack and the decay, there's actually a lot of things you could do tweaking that out. And then of course you have your speed knob right here, and then you also have a high cut, which really comes in handy. And don't forget about your decay right here. So but you could play these as loops. You have your motion sequence also, so there's a lot of things you could do with samples. So there's a 303. Let's move on to the next one. This right here is one of my piano samples. I believe this is from, I don't know. This is one of my piano samples though. So let's check this out. Throw the reverb on there, it sounds way better. Sounds pretty nice. Let's move on to, I think this is one of the last ones I'll be playing with. Nice little synthy stabby here. You can get a lot of melodies out of that. Some reverb on that one. could get really granular on the chord sample too, or Volca Sample. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Now this is the last sample I'm getting into right here. It's one of my percussion, long percussion samples where you're able to pull, you know, some nice percussion sounds out of this long sample here. Let me play it all the way now so you can hear what we're dealing with. See that? Hear all those percussions you can pull out of there. So see, that's just a couple, I mean, that's only 5 samples right there. My sample pack includes 40 samples that are about on the same level and even more that you could get out of there. I have more organ, I have more synth, I have more piano, and more bass too. And yeah, you heard that 303 bass right there. That sample right there actually is like a long sample, and that includes square and saw all in that sample, so you could just go ahead and pick and choose you know, what part of that sample you want to use. And don't forget with the Volca Sample, there's motion sequencing on here, so you can actually, all these parameters you can adjust. So on each step you can actually adjust the start and the end points on them, and so on each step you can actually choose, you know, if you want square or saw or any part of that sample that you want to be played on each step. So you got to keep that in mind too. So the Volca Sample is way cool. So it's one of the reasons why I went out and you know, I made my first sample pack for the Volca Sample, because I like the Volca Sample. So let's get into some patterns now. get into one more. Now, of course, you know, all that was made from samples from my new sample pack. So don't forget, go to my Patreon page, become a Patreon subscriber. You're gonna get this sample pack, and of course, other future sample packs. And I have one more coming in too. So, you know, so that's 2 sample packs already on the way. Let's check out this next sample pattern. Alright, so there's a couple patterns right there that I went ahead, played for you right there, and all those samples are from my new sample pack that you can only get if you're a Patreon subscriber. Check out the links. It's Patreon slash Tempo Element, pretty easy to find, and go help me out over there. Be a Patreon subscriber, help out with the Patreon, so we could go ahead and keep Tempo Element, this YouTube channel, keep going and coming out with more better content and more entertaining content, of course, and I'll just keep on laying out those sample packs and more special things. So yeah, so definitely go check that out. Don't forget to subscribe here. Don't forget to like this video too. Don't forget to check out my other videos that I have running, and those are very interesting too. And until next time, this is Topazzle with Tempo Elements, and I'll catch you later.